Your mortgage just got denied. The bank says there's an IRS lien on your property. You had no idea it was even there. Now you can't buy a house, can't refinance, can't sell your current property. Sound familiar? What are you going to do? How to get rid of a tax lien? That's the topic of today's video, right after the intro.
1-877 LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.
What's up, guys? Corey Hankerson here from Legacy Tax, and they call me the Levy King because I've helped thousands of clients with unfiled returns, back taxes, tax liens, and that's right, IRS levies. If the IRS took your check, the Levy King will get it back. 1-877 LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com. I'm also the author of End the Tax Nightmare, Insider Secrets to Beat the IRS and Reduce Your Tax Debt. Inside the book, I show you how to stop IRS levies, liens, and garnishments without paying the tax in full. How to set up the payment plan you want and not the one they want you to have. And how to potentially settle your tax debt for less than you actually owe. My book has been a top seller on Amazon for years, and you can buy it right now for $19.99. But I want to give you a copy of the book absolutely free. Just go over to my website, www.endthetaxnightmare.com, and enter your name and email, and I'll send you a copy right away. No charge, not even for shipping. Totally free. Before we go any further with the video, please take a moment to subscribe to my channel and smash that like button so you'll be notified each time we drop a new video. Okay, let's dive into today's content. I get questions about tax liens every single day. How do they happen? How do you get rid of them? Can you sell your house with a tax lien? I'm breaking down everything in the next 5 minutes, from lien withdrawals to lien discharges and lien subordination, and when liens just disappear on their own. All right, guys, let's go. First up is, when does the IRS file a tax lien? If you owe the IRS $10,000 or more, they'll generally file a tax lien, but it doesn't happen overnight. They're going to send you a series of notices, a CP 501, a CP 503, a CP 504. Those are all names of notices that the IRS is going to send you. And those notices are basically going to say, pay us, but they're going to say it in 4 different ways. You ignore all of them. Then they're going to file a lien, and then they're going to send you a notice of federal tax lien. But here's the thing. The best way to deal with a lien is to prevent it in the first place. If you owe $50,000 or less, and you set up a 72-month direct debit installment agreement that will full pay the tax debt within the statute of limitations, the IRS usually won't even file a lien. They just won't bother doing it. However, they will file a lien if you enter into a partial pay installment agreement. A partial pay, by the way, it's a type of payment plan that doesn't require you to pay enough on a monthly basis to pay the debt in full. So you're going to pay some of the debt, and then some of it is going to go unpaid at the end of the term. Okay. Now, if you already have a tax lien, the only way to get it completely withdrawn, that is actually removed from the public record, you want to bring your balance to under $25,000, then set up a direct debit installment agreement that will fully pay the remaining balance within 60 months. Then you want to make 3 consecutive direct debit payments. Now, people ask me all the time, can I just make the 3 payments up front? No, you can't do that. It has to be 3 consecutive payments. So right now it's November, so you're going to want to pay November, December, January. Then you want to file Form 12277. That is the application for withdrawal of federal tax lien. You want to file that with the IRS's advisory unit. You're going to provide all of the documentation that they request, and they will withdraw the lien, actually remove it from the public record. It's gone. This is the gold standard if you're trying to buy a house or refinance. There is another method, however. It's called lien discharge. That's for when you wanna sell your property. So, what if you need to sell your house, but you owe way more than the equity that's in there? In other words, the tax debt is greater than the equity. So let's say your house has $20,000 of equity and you owe the IRS $100,000. Now, the lien is already attached to everything you own. Your house, your car, the beer in your fridge. But you can file a lien discharge request for that specific property. You submit the sales contract, the title report, 2 property valuations, all lien payoffs, and an IRS form 14135 to the advisory unit. As long as you're paying the IRS what they would get based on their lien priority, they'll approve it. They take the $20,000 at closing, release the lien on that house, and you can now sell. but the lien is still going to stay on everything else you own. They release the lien against that specific property that you asked them to, but everything else is still encumbered by the tax lien. Okay, so the third method for dealing with the tax lien is more useful when you're trying to refinance a property as opposed to when you're trying to buy or sell. And it's a situation that we handle all the time. Let's say you have a house that's worth $200,000 and you owe $100,000 on the first mortgage, and you want to refinance to pull out $50,000 of home equity. The problem is that the IRS has a lien. And the new lender does not want to be behind the IRS in terms of lien priority. No one wants to be in second place behind the IRS. The reason being is that theoretically, the IRS could seize your property to satisfy the tax debt and sell it at auction. Now the lender who was in second place is now wiped out and he has no security. That's not what they envision when they originate a mortgage. Lenders don't like that, in other words. So you file a lien subordination request. That is a request for the IRS to let the new lender stay in first position. They refinance you from 100,000 to 150,000, and then the IRS puts their lien back on afterward. But you have to give the IRS that 50,000 you pulled out, or whatever they're entitled to based on their priority position. So here's a scenario. Now, let's say you're selling a house and you have enough equity to just pay off the IRS completely. You don't need permission. The closing attorney gets a payoff letter from the IRS, is going to pay them at closing, and you're done. The only time you need to get IRS approval is when the sale proceeds don't fully pay them off. One more thing. If a tax lien expires through the statute of limitations, it will self release. You don't have to do anything. It literally just expires if the government does not renew it. Now, it'll still show up on public record, but it's no longer legally. They can't come after you for collections. The lien essentially just has no weight, right? So most of the time, the government doesn't actually renew tax liens. They're going to file one lien. It'll self-release after 10 years. And if you don't have you don't have to lift the finger. You don't have to do anything to make it go away. But if there's something called tolling on your stat, you may need to wait longer than 10 years from the original assessment date. Most of the time, the government doesn't renew tax liens. They're going to file one lien. It's going to self-release after 10 years, and you don't have to lift a finger. But if there's tolling on your statute, you might need to wait longer than 10 years from the original assessment date before the lien self-releases. At this point, you're probably wondering which of these strategies is best for you. What's your best option for getting rid of your tax debt and the tax lien? If you owe back taxes to the IRS or the state, I want you to know that there are special programs in place to help you get a fresh start and get out from under this tax debt and the tax lien. But how do you know if you qualify? No two cases are exactly alike. So how do you know exactly how much you can settle for? Well, I've created a free tool to help you get qualified for a fresh start. Just head over to www.levyking.com or click the link below. Follow the prompts and answer a few simple questions, and we'll help you figure out your eligibility. That website again is www.levyking.com, or you can give us a call at 1-877-LEVY-KING. That's it for this week, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.
1-877-LEVY-KING, LEVY, Levy-King, 1-877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.
Owe back taxes to the IRS? Call the Levy King. He's the best. 877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.
1-877-LEVY-KING, LEVYKING.com.